What's going on, guys? This is Serious the Warlock here. Um, for those that don't know, I used to make YouTube videos a really long time ago on Warlocks. That was when I was doing a lot of RBGs. I got like 4 heroes back in the day, and then just kind of stopped. Um, I always considered myself like above average, but not the best. And I thought my guides helped a lot of guys out, so a lot of Warlocks out. So I quit in Legion season 1, and then after getting hero in that season, and um, I played throughout WoD and MOP a lot, and after I quit in the beginning of Legion, and I came back 6-7 years later and started Dragonflight. I got hero again at the start of Dragonflight, and then I just kind of been clowning around ever since. um, I spent a lot of my time doing research on warlocks, and I only feel comfortable putting out information when I'm sure that it's accurate and helpful. And I feel like a lot of the guides that I've seen lately are a mix of information, and a lot of it feels inaccurate and harmful if you were to follow it. And like, I've already messed up one of my warlocks for the start of the season on what I spent my resources on. So I thought I would share everything that I've gathered. I sit there and pay attention to all what I consider the best warlocks in the game. I'll look at Shane, aka Slip and Slide. I'll look at Dean. I'll look at Maldiva. I'll look at Foot Phase Doritos. I'll look at Cubsy. Um, I go through, and there's a whole lot more than that, but I'll analyze what all the warlocks are doing, because honestly, people just kind of do a lot of their own thing, and it's a little confusing. But I think I have what is the best way to approach warlock this season. So hopefully this helps people out. To start off, these are my talent choices. I'm going Soul Harvester. Shadow Bolts are insane in this spec. Uh, Really, it's cool that you can get your dots up on someone and begin spamming shadow bolts in their face that are going to hit for over 1,000,000. And if they kick that, then you can rapture in their face, and that's also going to hit for close to 1,000,000. So it's really cool having 2 spell schools now finally for Affliction. Wither, I feel like, isn't bad in certain circumstances. Like maybe if you're in Silver Shard Mines and you want to stay in the cart at all times, and it's just a cluster of damage. Casting anything, precog or not, is next to impossible. You're just getting micro CC to hell. Like, forget interrupts. You're just getting all the micro CCs. Like, you're just, it's too much. So at least if you're playing Wither, you could just spam your curse on everyone with Jinx and top the meters, and at least feel helpful in that way. Maybe some warlocks will disagree. You could stand outside of the cart and try to bait someone to come out, but in the end, like, if you're standing outside the cart and the whole enemy team is in the cart and you're failing to land a kill, you're gonna lose the cart, and it's gonna kind of feel like your fault for not staying in it. So, but for the most part, I'm gonna be running Soul Harvester. I've spent a whole lot of time analyzing over these talent choices that I've made. I've made choices that I feel like some warlocks may not be making, but the ones at the very top, the AWC locks, I feel like this is what they're going to be running. For example, a Soul Conduit, like, most warlocks are going to take this, but it's giving you back like 1 shard out of every 20 you spend, and I feel like there's better options. I'd rather have the stamina, to be honest, and Fell Domination. When it comes to your choices for Soul Harvester, they're kind of locked in for the most part. You're going to want to run the Big Dark Pact. This one is hit or miss. I feel like both of these are kind of garbage, but I just go with Shared Fate for the extra damage. And then this one, you don't have any choice, because this one just does Soul Stone, which is useless in PvP. And then you've got Fell Dom, which at least gives you some use. I'm running, for the most part, I run Sacrifice with Fell Dom. For the double kick, if I want to, you can sacrifice your pet, land a kick, instant summon another, land another kick, resack your pet. It also is helpful if you're you just need to pull out Succubus real quick in an emergency to land a Seduce to take a node. Fell Domination feels like it's worth, and of course I need Burning Rush. I feel like I toggle that on consistently the whole way I'm playing. Other choices that people may question, like the only having 5% in this talent for Shadow Bolt damage. Some people may take it out of this, but if you look at what 5% of your Shadow Bolt damage is at the end of a match, I think Cunning Cruelty makes up for that, plus some. I'm also running 1 UA. The latest nerf to Rampant Afflictions makes it so that UA damage is reduced by 60%. UA damage is absolute garbage right now. The only reason to pick up triple UA would be if you wanted to run this talent so that your Rapture is hitting harder on 2 extra targets. But I just don't feel like it's worth, honestly. And it's easier to just get 1 UA out and do more damage than it would take to upkeep 3. So I see a lot of top Warlocks experimenting with this, and I think I'm going to keep it this way, but we'll see. This also frees up a PvP choice, because I feel like Soul Swap is half mandatory. Jinx is definitely mandatory, and at least it gives you 1 PvP talent that you can swap around. If you're playing Arena, you're probably going to be running a lot of Rotten Decay. If you're doing Blitz and RPGs like me, you maybe Long Gate would be a good choice on a lot of maps where you got to switch between nodes and get places fast. Shadow Rift would be good in the middle of EOTs to port the enemy team if you're going for port knocks. Observer might be good into a caster heavy team, maybe into a melee heavy team, like quick port if you're the kill target might be good, but I don't feel like I've been the kill target too much this expansion so far in my matches compared to what it was in Dragonflight, so I don't think I'll take this one too often. We'll see. So that pretty much covers all of my talent choices. The gear's going to be the big thing, but let me go through some of my macros really quick. The ones that I feel like are the most important. So this one for Burning Rush, you put a cancel aura on Burning Rush before cast Burning Rush. You guys are going to have to type these out because I don't think I'm putting these in the description of the video. But what I like about this one is you can real quickly, you don't have to wait for the global cooldown. So it makes it real helpful if you just wanted to jump, and then you can turn it off and you keep that momentum in the air as you're going. It also is helpful if you're in the middle of being stunned or CC'd and you're just burning yourself alive. You can press it again and cancel the aura. What else do I have that I feel is really important? This one's my mount macro. You don't have to use this one, but I like choosing like my Spectral Tiger when I'm in Battlegrounds, and you can only use ground mounts. But using a different mount when you're able to fly, and in any zone you can fly in. This one I feel like is a big one, since I've been using Fell Domination a lot. If I press Alt and the key, it will instant summon my Succubus. If I have my Fell Hunter out, it will sacrifice it. And if I don't have either of those situations, then it will try to Fell Domination and summon a Fell Hunter. So that one I feel is like pretty helpful, because you can mash that key to instant summon your pet with Fell Dom. We'll go ahead and kick and press the button again, and it would just sacrifice all in the same macro, and then just use that alt modifier if you just need to get a quick Succubus out. A lot of these are useless. This is one other one that man, that's gonna be a pain in the butt for you guys to type out, but I use these two macros. One if I want to be able to tab target NPCs, and then the other one if I want to be able to tab target players. You have to use this macro when you're out of combat. But at the beginning of a battleground, I may click the tab players one. It just changes your keybind for tab so that you're only selecting players and not totems and pets and all those other things. But then it gets annoying if you go to do a world quest and your tab key doesn't tag like any NPCs. So I'll click the other one to switch it back to NPCs. There's maybe one or two more I want to share real quick. This one is a trinket with Shadow Rift. So sometimes if you get assigned to sit a node, Warlocks don't usually sit bases too often, but if you need to pull out a Succubus and sit in a pinch, or if you were assigned to sit a base, your biggest fear is going to be Shadowy Duel and getting double hit by a rogue. When you're Shadowy Dueled, you really don't have any good spinning options to hit the guy that's invisible, that you can't see capping. One option would be a macro that would... You want to put your trinket in a macro with whatever you're going to do, because if you trinket and manually try to hit the next cast, there's a high probability you're going to get CC'd by the rogue. You have to be very fast. So with this macro, I could hover my cursor over the flag and press it, and it would instant trinket into a Shadow Rift and port them off the flag. You could also do this with Howl of Terror, maybe like a trinket port Howl macro, but I feel like this one is useful. And I had one extra one. Stun. This one, it's cast sequence macro for Shadow Fury and Shadow Rift. If you're trying to port people in EOTs and you just want to get them off really quick, you can mash the same button and it'll Shadow Fury and immediately after Shadow Rift. That might be it for most of the macros. So to go on to gear, and this is where I'm probably going to stutter and mess up my words the most, because gear has been one of the most confusing things for me, and what I've been doing most of my research on to make sure I'm making the correct decisions and spending my conquest points wisely. So first, let's talk about embellishments real quick. Embellishments were overhauled, so you don't... Precog is now allowed a gem. The embellishments that are left are really trashy. There's one that would give you versatility if you're over 80% health, but even that's pretty garbage compared to the Nerubian embellishments. So Nerubian embellishments are new to this expansion. They can only be placed on your weapon, which is unfortunate because this season they decided to give us a quest to give us a free weapon that you can get from the PvP vendor in the main city. I think it's the Conquest vendor. So you can't put the embellishment. Embellishments can only be placed on crafted items. So they give you this free weapon, and it's next to useless since you can't put an embellishment on it. So the vendor that... Let's see, this is the crafting order vendor. My order has been sitting a very long time. I had to re-upload it. I did have it up for like 5,000. You can put this... you can put an embellishment and enchant on your main hand weapon. So that's important. You want to embellish it and enchant it on your main hand weapon. So the one that I'm putting on mine is Darkmoon Sigil Ascension. So every 8 seconds you spend in combat, you'll be granted 89 of a random secondary stat for 15 seconds, stacking up to 10 times. Sounds pretty cool, but it gets even better when you stack it with this second embellishment. Again, can only be placed on a crafted item, but it doubles the effect of the Nerubian embellishment. So effectively gives you, as long as you remain in combat, like 1,700 of a secondary stat, and consistently. Like it doesn't fall off unless you leave combat. So this is what most of the most high rated players are going to end up running, I'm sure. Uh, let's see. Not much else to talk about that one. It's a little weird how the proc works. I only heard from a friend. Um, I haven't seen it in action yet, since no one will craft my order. But the way the way it was explained to me is every 8 seconds the stat can change. So it could be verse, it could be haste, it could be mastery, it could be crit, and it'll cycle between them. Sometimes it could be the same stat twice in a row, um, but you'll have a buff that will change every 8 seconds, and it will just be one of the random secondary stats, which is a way better choice than almost every other embellishment that they put in the game. There's like no competition right now between the others. As far as our gear goes, with the secondary stat, like item squish or stat squish, whatever you want to call it, we're not really going to be picking up any mastery. It's going to be all haste verse on every slot, especially if you're doing arena. My one ring right now does have verse mastery on it, but the top tier warlocks are already just crafting the honor ring, and then just putting haste verse on that as well. So they just run double haste verse rings, haste verse on literally everything you can put it on. And so 4-set. So most, I think all locks are going to run 4-set, even though I feel like it's a little garbage, but because it's cut in half by 50% in PvP. You can see it if you hover over your adventure guide and go to item sets, and then you can look at your tier. And if you were to have a PvP dummy selected and enter combat with the PvP dummy, you would see these set effects update in real time. So every warlock that I follow is all crafting their helmet, and then they're going with a set for shoulders, chest, hands, legs. Like I said, you can craft your waist. It's just the same as having the honor waist, like with honor tokens, but it allows you to put the embellishment on that. I just need someone to craft the weapon. For the weapon enchant, I'm sitting on this one, Authority of Radiant Power. I'm going to put that on the weapon as soon as it's crafted. The only other thing that I would like to mention is you're going to pick up a lot of haste and mastery just off of your tier set. If you're doing a lot of arena where you're getting focused a lot, you may want to stick with just the normal conquest neck that has a little bit of haste and a lot of verse on it to make up for the tier not having any verse on it. It depends on how much you're being attacked. If you're doing blitz and rated battlegrounds like me, you're not on. There's a lot more room to port and kite and get away, and you may not always be the kill target. I think it's worth it more to craft like the neck and even out the stats between haste and verse. I'll probably run a lot of crafted gear. So that's it. The other thing is the Bloody Token gear. All of it's going to get replaced if you decide to do the Bloody Token. It's just going to give you a few item levels heads up in the beginning of the season, or a few item level advantage in the beginning of the season. I just went with the boots because there's no honor or conquest haste boots. That's definitely going to need to be a crafted item. So I spent Bloody Tokens on that, and I just went with the haste verse cape. I I think what I'm going to do next with my remaining conquest is I'm going to I think I'm going to buy neck and chest. I think I have enough to buy neck and chest. That way I can put the gem slot in your neck so I can get precog back. And then at 1600 rating in PvP in any bracket, including Blitz, you'll get a free tier piece that you take to the Spider City, and you can exchange it for any tier. So you would definitely want to use that on one of the bigger, more costly items like chest, legs, helm. I'll probably use it on legs because I like the stats on that, and I'd like to get that one as soon as possible. So yeah, I'll probably this week I'll spend my conquest on chest and neck. In order to craft your weapon in offhand first week of this season, when you complete your first rated match or first rated win, I believe, you're gonna get a bunch of these things. 9 Forged Gladiator, Hellurgy, whatever. So your weapon is going to take, if you go with the staff, it'll take 10. If you go with the main hand offhand, it'll take 7 for the main hand, 3 for the offhand, so still 10. So you're going to get 9 of these for free. You need to spend your conquest on just buying 1, so that way you have the 10th that required to be able to upgrade. If you go in, if you want to like look at all the different gear you can craft, you can go in here and type Algari, Algari. Just hit search. Maybe you want to filter by cloth, and there's all your cloth items that you can craft for PvP. They look real shitty and green, but when you click on one, you can add the purple items. Again, you get 9 for free, and then I don't know if we'll get any more for free throughout the season. I'm not expecting it. I think they'll make us spend our conquest on them, and then that will upgrade it to the highest PvP tier. And then don't forget your embellishment for haste verse or your missive, I mean. I think that covers it for gear. The only other thing maybe I'll talk about really, really fast is rotation. It's pretty straightforward. When I go into a fight, you want to start by just jinxing things. Get your dots out. You'll start to get shards back pretty quickly. After that, spend your insta-cast Shadow Bolts. Get UA up on one target. You can haunt, soul rot, and I'm letting these fall off. I would have done this quicker if I wasn't explaining. But you just want to copy that and send it to another target, and then that's when you Dark Glare or start rapturing. If you have a lot of targets, you rapture. If you have like one warrior in your face, don't forget to spend your Shadow Bolts because they hit like a truck and also trigger the Shadow Bolt volley. And if you have just like one like warrior in your face in the back line that you're kiting and he's just kind of being annoying, you just want to get your dots on him, and then every time you haunt, you get an instant cast Shadow Bolt, so that hurts really good. And you just want to spam Shadow Bolts in his face. Because we have a secondary spell school, we don't have to juke as much, because you might want to juke like the UA or something like that just to be able to get it up, but after that, you can just Shadow Bolt in his face and hope he kicks it. If he doesn't kick it, he's going to get hit for a million Shadow Bolt. If he does kick it, then that's when you just start rapturing in his face, and it's really nice quality change of life to have multiple spell schools as an Affliction Warlock finally. That's it. As far as defensives go, we have the reusable Hellstones. Those are great. I like to use that with Soulburn, and then Dark Pact gives you a huge shield. And then if you need to, you can wall. And then of course port's like your first go-to defensively. I think that's all I have. Again, if this data gets outdated, I'm probably not going to release another video. I haven't done a video in so many years, and I'm surprised I'm even doing this one, but I've spent so much time researching. I just thought I would share it with you guys, so you would know what to do. I think that's it. Alright, well, thanks for watching, guys. I don't know if I'll upload anything else. Maybe an RBG. Maybe I'll upload an RBG at some point. I was doing some 2400 matches MMR last night. This is my second Warlock. My first one, I definitely screwed up the gear and didn't do it as I've said in this video. So I kind of started over with this Warlock yesterday. I've only done like went 5 for 5 in blitzes and 4 for 4 in RBGs, so really not that much right now happening. That's it. Let me know if you guys have any questions. Feel free to ask. I usually do pretty good at like communicating with people in game and in comments. I will try to pay attention to. So take care, guys.